Hey everybody,
I'm Steph.
I'm Michael
And today we're checking out Cuzco.
from Queen Games.
Yep.
This game plays 2 to 4 players and has a box play time of 75 to 120 minutes. So, this is from the Steffenfeld City Collection, game number 6. And it is basically a redo of Bora Bora.
Yes, and from what I understand, it's been a long time since I played Bora Bora, but from what I understand, what they changed was one, the theme and the art, but also they added in a bunch of god cards to the
Or God Powers to the God cards.
god powers to the god cards.
Because there used to be 5 God cards with a total of 5 God powers. Now there are 3 powers per God card. Depending on which one you draw, it could be one of those 3.
3, yeah, okay. So there are more cards to give you additional benefits during the gameplay.
Helps to mitigate some of bad dice rolls, or mitigate things where you can't get exactly what you want, so you can use the God cards to get you out of bad situations. So thanks to Queen Games for providing us this copy of Cusco, but they didn't do so in exchange for this video. They gave it to us because they know we like to play all the games. So, this game is a bit of a table hog and takes quite a bit of time. So, we're not going to do a full playthrough, but you will get a rules teach, because that's what you're here for, right?
All the rules.
That's right. Let's go ahead and take a look while I teach you all the rules.
Yeah.
And all the setup. So the rules are a little bit difficult to follow with setting up of this board. This is the road system of Tawantinsuyu, calling out another awesome game, I gotta say.
I do love Tawantinsuyu.
Oh, speaking of which, this Cusco is the Bora reprint. There is another Cusco that is a reprint of a game called, I believe it was Java. So do not mistake the two. They are 2 entirely different games. So
look for the yellow on the box.
Yes.
So that's the Queen signature.
Yes. Assemble the road system of Tawantinsuyu. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to create this board so it looks like this. And basically you've got feather, no feather, feather, no feather, feather, no feather going around the outside edge. Then you're going to assemble these hexagons, mix them up, and place it so that every spot that doesn't have a feather out here does have a feather on the inside. So you've got a tile of feathers, a tile of no feathers, a tile of feathers, a tile of no feathers going around like that.
I actually like that it's modular like that.
Yeah, that really increases the replayability.
Yeah.
Because, in some games you'll have all of the turquoise close together. Some games the turquoise feathers will be spread far apart. So that's really good. Place this little the wooden post in the middle, this on top, making sure that the roads point to a village. These villages are the spots where you've got a little shield spot and a point value. So that's where you're wanting to make sure these go towards. If you have a road pointing straight up and straight down, you're good to go. This little disc placed like so. And then all of the players here on the middle area. So, you're also going to have your feathers in these corners. It doesn't really matter where you place them, as long as you can either put them off the board or on the board where it shows the little feather colors. All the food up in that corner, all the offerings in that corner. You'll also have this board with quite a bit of setup. So there's a ring token that goes here on this space. Alternatively, you can use the little standee of Steffenfeld.
Obviously use him.
You are going to need 6 of these golden offerings. These are called Inti medals. And don't spend these willy-nilly. They're worth 2 points at the end of the game, but you might have need of spending them. I'll explain those in a little bit. Um, Separate these god tiles by color, the god cards by color, and shuffle them up individually, making sure that each one of these stacks is its own color. And then place them face down, flipping up the top card of each stack. It's really easy to just put all of the cards facing face up because as soon as one is taken, the one underneath it is available. You've got a lot of these orange farm tiles and blue study tiles. You are going to want to shuffle those up individually and place them in stacks here and here. Now, we've got most of the stacks, since we're not playing, we got most of the stacks in the box, but this is where they will go. You'll also place the first 6 orange tiles and blue tiles onto these spaces right here. Um, Shuffle up all of the goods tiles face down. Now, if you're playing with 2 or 3 players, you're going to need to remove 1 tile each of soup, clothes, pottery, bowl, pottery, decanter, tools, and jewelry. Basically, one of each type you're going to remove out, and you're not going to place this column of goods. So basically, in a 2 or 3 player game, you're just going to have 4 on each of these rows. Finally, you are going to sort out the mission tiles by their backs. There will be, I believe, 6 of them with the gray back, and all the rest will have a gold back. Well, the gold back does not show up well on our screen, but you can see these are the gray backs and these are the gold backs. So set the gray ones aside, shuffle up all of the gold ones, and place a number of gold mission tiles up here equal to player count plus 2. So this is set up for a 5-player game. All of the rest of them you're just going to put over here in stacks. It doesn't matter how many you put in each stack. So, and you're going to put the game round marker. Looks like this. Looks like a bunch of little people stepping up towards the market. You're just going to place it on the number 1. Really, I don't think that there's any real need for that because after 6 rounds, you will not have any of these NT medals left, and that will also mark the end of the game. So each player is going to get a player board. You're going to get 6 circlet tiles you need to place like so, so that this side is facing up and that side is facing down. And there are spots that you have to place them for the die value number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Each of these player boards is identical except for the colors around the outside. You're also going to get, you're going to have your little 2 color tiles, placing them here, and you're going to place your priests on those color tiles. Each player is going to have 3 dice. You're going to have 1 chasqui, which is your little, it looks like a little T-Rex without arms and no tail. Who was it that called it a T-Rex? Was it you or James?
James, he called it Dino.
It looks like a little, oh yeah, Dino on the Flintstones. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
You're also going to put 10 Kipu tiles. These are these little shields that go onto these spots. As you might guess, these orange and blue tiles are going to be placed into these 10 slots plus the 2 spots that you start with. And obviously you can't fit these if you have not placed these Kipu tiles. You've also got one of the 100 and 200 victory point tokens in case you go all the way around the board. Each player is going to get 1 score tracker, looks like just a big cube, and a knowledge tracker, just looks like a disc. So, you are going to set these up randomly where 1 player's disc will be on top. The one on top is going to go first. So in this case, Steph will be going before me because her disc is on top. We're going to put that on the 0 space right next to Mr. Feld right there. Each player is going to take a feather. Um, you're going to place your feather in one matching slot. For example, if I were to take this turquoise feather, I will place it on any of these three slots. Once you've placed a feather, you cannot move it later. You're also going to get two offerings. The offerings look like this, and that's how you end up playing God cards. And one NT medal. This is another way that you can play God cards, but you don't even have to have the card in your hand at that point. Everybody is going to take a player order token based on where you're starting. This can be the way that you randomly determine that turn order. So Steph would have the one in this case. I would take the two. Alternatively, if I had drawn the one, my disc will go on top of hers. Um,
Hey, thanks for
thanks for
following.
So, you're going to deal each player one of those gray mission tiles, and that is the gray mission that they're going to start with, placing it right here on the board. Then each player is going to get four of these gold mission tiles. We're going to choose two to keep and take the other two and shuffle them back into the reserve pile. Um, So you are also going to take two cards from each of those five God card piles, shuffle them up. Each player is going to get two of those cards face down. If you get two cards of an identical color, then discard one of them, draw a replacement, and shuffle the discarded one back into the reserve pile. For a two-player game, you're only going to take one card from each of those five piles, so there's no risk of getting duplicate cards in that case. And then the last remaining card is kept as the reserve. Whatever people did not draw or end up not keeping, we're going to put into the reserve discard pile. So that is actually quite a bit of setup.
It's a lot.
So every player is also going to get one of these player aid sheets. This basically tells what an offering gives you, what we're going to do in phase one, what we're going to do in phase two, and then what all of the steps that we're going to take in phase three. On the back, it shows all of the end game victory points. So let's go ahead and go through each of those. So in we're going to roll our three dice, and what you get is basically what you get. Like I've got a 6-2-2 right here.
To have a funny story, you rolled 3-3-3.
I rolled 3-3-3. Yes.
Yesterday.
And then
immediately the next turn rolled 3-3-3.
Yeah.
We like did the math on that.
Like 1 in 45,000 chance.
Crazy. Though it could have been worse. It could have been 6-6-6.
Exactly.
That would be a worse roll.
Now, you might say, why is 6-6-6 a bad roll? Isn't that like as many pips as you can get? Yes, but you don't necessarily want that big, and I'll show you why. Yes, larger dice generally get you a stronger power action. However, you are limited as to where you can place here. So, we are going to roll the dice, and then we're going to select and perform actions, as you can see from here. Roll dice, and one at a time, we're going to place our dice on these actions. Now, I forgot to mention, you're going to place these actions on the bottom of this board. This only has one side to it, so that's pretty easy. But these are dependent on player count. You'll see this is set up for 2 or 3 players. This is set up for 4 players. And I will describe each of those sides. Again, set up for 3 and 4 players. One large spot for 2 players. So this is where we are going to be placing our dice. So the first player is going to place their die onto any of these spots. However, your pip value must be specifically lower than the other dice on that spot. Meaning, if I had placed a 6 here, then Steph cannot place her 6 here. She could place a 5, a 4, a 3, whatever else, She cannot place a 6. However, if I choose to put my 2 instead, I don't have to play my 6 first. I can put my 2 here knowing she wants this spot, or maybe knowing she wants to move on the dirt roads, and I will place this here. Now what is she going to do? She doesn't have a die that is that low. So she's not going to be able to move if I place my die here, unless she uses a god power to deal with it. So, um, let's go over each of these actions. If you are to place on this side, then you can move your little Chasqui guy on any of the dirt roads or stone roads that has a value of 2 or less. Or if I were to do this, I could go on any road. So,
One space.
yes, only one adjoining space. So, notice we've got values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 around here. Let's say that I did play the 2. I could either go out to here or out to here. And when I do, let's say I go out here, hey, this is a 7-point spot. I get to put one of my little Kipu tiles onto the spot, and I'm going to get 7 points at the end of the game. Additionally, I can take a purple feather and place it onto my headdress. Obviously, I have to place it into one of these 3 locations, and again, once I've placed it, I cannot move it.
Also,
So,
you might get 7 points.
yeah, well, I'm about to get to that. Let's say whenever Steph goes, she finds a way to move here, or maybe not this round, but maybe in a future round. When Steph gets here, she's going to place her tile over the top of it. And so it's going to go on top, and she will get those points, not me. I have been here before in case there are uh, anything that calls for me to have Kipu tiles distributed amongst the villages, but whoever's tile is on top is who's going to get those victory points at the end of the game. Basically, it's a big game of chicken. Who is going to go there last?
Well, it's also a reason why you would want to put them down just to have presence and get rid of all of them.
Absolutely. Plus, I may need that feather.
Yeah.
Plus, I may not have very much choice in the matter.
Yeah, sure.
Based on what I've got here. So,
oh no, someone might not go there.
Correct. So, now if you're playing on the opposite side for 4 players, this is strictly stone road movement. This is strictly dirt road movement. So, if I place here, I can go only on this dirt road because I can't go on the level 2 stone road, and the die value is not high enough for the dirt number 3 road. So if I were to have used the 6 instead, and I'm looking specifically to match up my turquoise flowers or maybe some pink flowers instead, I could go here. And there's a reason why I would want a pink feather, because if you've got feathers next to this piece of the headdress, then you qualify to activate this headdress piece. But I'm going to get to that here in a second. So the next time I move, maybe I will place this 2. I can indeed place the 2 here because it's lower than that 6. However, I am limited as to where I can go with that. I can take this 2. Notice that there are paths going all the way around the outsides as well. So be sure to use all of the roads to your advantage. And notice, once I move this Kipu tile out of the way, I've got a spot for these tiles here. Let's go on to the next section. This is basically the pity action. This gives you 2 victory points, moving your scoring marker 2 points. Notice there is not a greater than sign along these dice, meaning anybody can place a die on this position. So it's never impossible to place your dice. This might be the only place you could place, but it's never impossible to place. Let's talk about this spot right here. This spot is basically like a grab bag of different actions here. This is if you were to put your 6 die here, then you can do a variety of 1 cost actions and 2 cost actions, as you can see here. And you're going to spend all of the pips on your die. For a value of 1, you can take one of these tokens. Let's say I've got a couple of these tokens on my board. I can move one of these down into the lower position and get whatever it says on it. For example, if I had this blue knowledge tile, I'm going to get 3 food for sliding this down in my display. And once they're moved down, you can't move them back up again without help from one of these god powers. For example, this one here will let you push back up 2 of these red or blue tiles. This red tile, if I were to move it down, I'm going to get 4 knowledge. No, sorry, where is it? 3 knowledge over here. I had it covered up. So this is usually a value between 2 and 4, getting some amount of knowledge for these red tiles and food for these blue tiles. Knowledge is going to push you up on here. Food is just going to give you food right here. So 1 pip, 1 tile movement. Or for 1 pip, you can get 1 victory point. I could spend all 6 of these points and just get 6 victory points instead.
It's not bad.
For 2 pips, you can take one of your Kipu tiles, one of your Kipu tiles, and just move it into this lower portion of your board. It's off of your player board, so now you can put these blue and orange tiles on here. For 2 pips, you can take any color feather you want. Notice you can only take 3 purple, 3 orange, 3 pink, and 3 turquoise feathers. You will never be able to short anyone out of feathers because there's going to be enough for each player. For 2 pips, you can take one of these god cards, whichever one is face up. And for 2 pips, you could take an offering token. Offering tokens are how you play these god cards. I keep knocking Feld over. He just keeps getting knocked down. He gets back up again. Nobody's going to keep him down. So, if I had these god cards, remember I got 2 of these at the start of the game. If I wanted to play one of these god cards, I can play it at any time it is valid for me to do so, and it's going to cost me 1 offering token. So I'm going to put that down here maybe, and then
Oh, it's so green.
oh, it is very green. Give me one of those cards that does not have green on it. Give me that pink. Let me get this one here. So, well, that's a turquoise. It may not be much better. That's the one that I was showing you that had the pushing a red and blue, red or blue tile. 2 of those tiles pushing them back up. Notice I can play this anytime during phase 1. This is the dice rolling and actions phase that we're in right now. If it is a phase 2 card, for example, this one here, this one can be played during phase 1 or phase 2. Phase 2 is when we're doing our studies in farming, but I'll talk about that here in a little bit. So, if you want to use a god card, these are one-time use cards. You basically put it in the discard pile and spend your offering to use it. Alternatively, if you don't have the God card and you don't really have time to waste, or you have no ability to get the God card, you could spend an NT token. Remember, these are big points to use any of these face up cards. And this counts as the offering as on it as well. It's a super offering basically. So get rid of the NT token and then use any one of these that's appropriate to use, and you put it right directly to the discard pile. Crush Level says 3 whole knowledge.
I know, right?
Exactly. So
Knowledge is points.
yes.
And turn order.
Well, we'll talk about that. So you can use a variety of these. You can use, if you had a 5, you could use 2 2s and a 1. Or you can do a 2 and 3 1s. Whatever works out for you. Let's talk about this next action, and that is putting one of your priests, hallelujah, you're going to put the priest on this, the temple area right here. Let me put these back for a second. Um, let's say I put my number 2 die there. I'm going to put one of my priests on step number 2. Well, let's say on a future turn, these dice will be gone. Steph puts a number 2 out there. She will take. Where are your people here? Oh, there they are. You're gonna. Steph's gonna take her priest and put it on the number 2 Steph. And number 2 step. What's gonna happen? She's gonna push my priest down the stairs, just like so.
I'm so mean.
You are so mean.
Oh.
But let's say that I came along later and I put my other 2 die on here. I would put mine on the 2 step, which knocks her down to the 1 step, which knocks me off the platform. I would get this back. That probably doesn't do me a whole lot of good, but she is now on a lower step. And this works if you put someone on the 6, knocking the 1 down to the 5, 1 down to the 4. Now, you're not, if I were to put something up here, it doesn't automatically knock things off. It just knocks them 1 step back until there's no conflict. So you're going to get points for these at the end of each round. And you might even get an NT token out of it. So let's go ahead and leave this like so, just so I can explain. Also, when you place your priest, you're going to get what's called a fire offering. Remember, the fire offering is this displayed up here at the top. You are going to get either a god card or an offering, meaning you can't both get a god card and play the god card if you don't already have an offering. Plus, you are going to get 1 knowledge or 1 food. 1 food you're just going to take and put down here. 1 knowledge, you're going to go up the track. Now, let's say I had gotten a knowledge point from getting one of these fire blessings, and then Steph comes along and she does the same sort of thing, or maybe this action here next to it, she's going to go 1 space and on top of me. This is going to be important because you're going to, at the end of the round, whoever's on top has priority. Let's talk about this action here. This is your headdress action. If I place my 6 die here, I can do 1 of my circlet tokens as long as my feathers are next to both of my feathers are next to that circlet. So I can do anything up to circlet number 6. Well, here's circlet number 5. I will turn this over and get 4 points for it. In addition, I'm going to get a bonus based on what round it is. This game is played over 6 rounds, as you remember from these NT tokens here, and the number of rounds that we've got to buy stuff in the store. We're going to have 6 rounds. So in rounds 1 and 2, you're going to get a bonus of 10 points. Rounds 3 and 4, a bonus of 7. In rounds 5 and 6, a value of 5. That's pretty much the only reason why you would ever do this die value 1 0 points circlet, is because you're going to get bonus points based on the round. So once you've got this, you're going to flip it over, and you can't ever do this one again, nor would you really want to, because you're trying to get all of these done. And you're trying to get all your feathers. And you're trying to get all your Gipu tiles off.
And you're trying to fill in all of
And you're trying to fill all of these.
You're trying to get all the goods. And you're trying to do the temple track.
Everything. Yes. So in addition to the circlet, you can also do a fire blessing. So let's talk about the orange action. Let's say I put this 2 die here on the orange action. I can get any of these orange tiles up to a value of 2, meaning I can take either of these orange tiles. I can't get any of the larger ones, unfortunately. Same thing for the blue, except I can take on the blue side. Now, a value of 6 lets you take any of them that are out there. So,
blue.
Of blue or orange. Now, let's say that I'm really wanting this 2 value 1, so I'm going to take this, and you do not refill this. So, after we have played all 3 of our dice, then we're going to move on to phase 2, which is studies and farming. Going in player order, you are going to choose one red action and one blue action and do those actions. You can do only one red and one blue unless you have God powers that let you do differently. For example, this lets you do two different blue actions during this phase. So I could have a blue action that gives me a feather, and I can do a blue action that gives me another blue tile of level 3 or lower, assuming one exists.
Pretty good.
Or I could do a blue action that lets me travel along a stone path at a value of 2
Or lower.
or lower. So, several of those type of things exist. So, remember you can do one orange and one blue. This is easy, 2 victory points. Now, remember I said 2 actions, not 2 tiles. Because let's say I had both of these 2 victory points. I can use them both into one big combined action. So that's 4 victory points. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, every round. That's pretty good.
That I did have that during our game. This lets you have a red tile of value 3. But what if you had both of these? That is one combined action. You don't get 2 tiles of level 3. You get 1 red tile at a die value of level 6. Meaning that's even better. If for some reason you had 2 tiles like this, that means you can go on a stone path up to a die value of level 4. Or if you had 3 of them, you could move on a stone path up to a die value 6. You can't go on 3 stone paths. And again, you're placing your little Kipu tiles along the way as you move your step. Now, if you have 2 things, I don't have a good example out here. Let me see if I can find one on one of these. Yeah, here we go. Let's say you've got a blue tile and a red tile that both give you an offering. You cannot combine these into 2 offerings. You would need 2 red tiles that both show offering on it to give you 2 offerings, or 2 blue tiles that show offering on it to give you 2 offerings, but you cannot combine blue and orange actions
As one action.
as
but
one action. You
taking
can do
this-
them separately, yes.
Yeah.
But this would count as your red and this would count as your blue.
Yep.
That you can do. But yeah, combining only works with the same color. Now, it does not matter whether the tile on your board is in the shifted down position or the shifted up position, and you're not moving those tiles. You're just using those powers on those tiles no matter where they are on your board. They don't have to be adjacent, and none of that matters. So, after everyone has done a red action and a blue action, in whichever order you want, then we're going to go on to phase 3, which is resolving the Cuzco board. And that is tracked by your ring or by Steffenfeld himself. First, you're going to do the knowledge track. Let's say I had gone up to this spot here, and I'm going to get 2 points. Steph managed to move some of her red tiles down to get a bunch of knowledge. She's going to get 6 points. Then we're going to stack these up like so. Steph is going to have priority in turn order. I'm going to give her the 1. She's going to give me the 2. And now the turn order is immediately going to take effect. So Steph has turn order priority on me right now. Then we're going to move on to the temple score. Oh yeah, this is called the university over here. We're going to move on to the temple where you're going to score victory points for your priest. It doesn't matter which step they're on. It matters how many priests you've got. On rounds 1 and 2, 1 point per priest. Rounds 3 and 4, 2 points per priest. You know where we're going with rounds 5 and 6, 3 points per priest. In addition, the player with the most priests on the temple step gets an NC token. So that would be me. If Steph were also here with 2 priests and I have 2 priests, then it's whichever has the priest on the higher step, provided they have the same number of priests. That would go to you in this case. Bless you. Then we're going to move on to the market. And the market is where you can buy these goods. Starting off with this first row of goods. This soup, all of the soups have a 1 victory point worth and cost 1 food. Everything in the market costs food. Alternatively, you can get a 5 victory point token and it's going to cost you 3 food. The most expensive one are these jewelries. For 5 food, you get 9 points. So, if for some reason we come along to your turn, again, we're doing this in turn order, we come along to your turn and there's not anything that you can afford or want to purchase, then you will just pass. Then we're going to move on to the palace. And in player order, you are going to want to try to do complete one of your missions here. For this one, I am going to need 1 priest on the temple steps and 1 blue tile here. If I've got that, I have completed this starter gray mission. I will place it face down here and I'm going to get 6 points. All missions worth 6 points. And you're going to want to try to do 1 per round, because if you can complete all of your missions in the game, you're going to get bonus points. Remember, you want to try to get everything of everything. All feathers, all circlets, all Kipu tokens, all of these filling up your board, if you can do it. And purchase 1 of these every single round. So, after I have placed 1 here, let's say I couldn't do 1, I have to discard 1. I will never get to do that one again, because you're going to want to make space for a new one. So I will choose 1 of these. Actually, Steph will choose 1 of these, and then I will complete mine and do 1 of these. You took the feather ones because that's what you do. You like the rainbow feathers.
You have 3. I'm trying to prevent you from.
Oh, that's because that is 1 of each color of feather. What she's got there. So maybe I want to have 3 Kipu tokens and feathers.
No, it's 3 on the yellow.
3 on the yellow villages. I got you.
It's harder.
It is harder.
This is just have 2 blue god cards.
2 of that specific good, like 2 chemicals. You've purchased 2 of those little medicines or chemicals. And then we're going to move down here and do cleanup. So for cleanup on the end of the round, we are going to remove all of these study and farm tiles from the Cuzco board. Then you're going to remove all of the leftover missions in the palace. You're going to refill that up to players +2. You're going to refill these up with brand new tiles. Shifting this down to the number 2. And that should do it. Everyone gets their dice back, and you're going to lather, rinse, and repeat for 6 rounds. At the end of the game, we are going, the last pass through here, when you get to the mission tiles, that will be your 6th mission. You do want to get your 6th mission tile onto your board, because after we've gotten that 6th mission, you're going to want to try to complete these 3 missions for missions 7, 8, and 9. If you can get all 9 missions, it's going to be a lot of good points for you. These become easier and easier as the game goes on. At the start, it can be really difficult. So, at the end of the game, you are going to get points as follows. 2 points for these NT tokens. You are going to get victory points for your having the topmost Kipu tile on the village, and you're going to get that many victory points. Like this is just a little 1 pointer. This one here is the big 7 pointer. You are going to get 6 points for having all 12 feathers in your headdress. You're going to get 9 points for having all 6 circlet pieces. You're going to get 9 points for completing all 9 of your missions. You're going to get 10 points for getting, is this 10 points for them in villages specific? I think it is.
Yeah, they have to be out on the board.
These 10 Kipu tiles have to just not just be removed off your board, but literally on the village spaces out here. I did not mention it before, but if you visit your own village space, you cannot put another tile on top. Only one of your tiles per village. So if I go here, Steph goes here and covers me up, I cannot come back later and redo this spot. Once it's done, it's done.
Yeah, also if you move into the center.
Oh, I forgot to mention that one too.
Yeah.
Let me finish up the in-game scoring and I'll get back to that. So if you have 12 of these red and blue tiles on your player board, you're going to get 12 points. If you have bought 6 goods from the market, you're going to get 6 points. Food, offerings, god cards, not worth anything, so do not hold on to them. So yeah, the last mechanic that I forgot to mention is when you move out of Cusco for the very first, not Cusco, but Tawantinsuyu for the very first time, you can't rotate this wheel. But let's say Steph is having a really hard time getting over to this spot here. So instead, she can't get that 4 to move over here. Instead, she could take a 2 and move into the middle. Notice when you move into the middle, you are going to get a fire offering, just like you do for these 2 actions. Then on her next turn that she moves, before she moves, she can rotate this to whatever she wants to rotate it to. You making sure that you've got one going up and one going down. It doesn't matter where you rotate it to. And you can come out to wherever you want to go based on your die and movement. So, that's a super important strategy that actually we did at the end of the game quite a bit.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of god tiles, god card abilities and abilities on these, and the iconography can be sort of heavy. Inside the Cuzco addendum, you will find all of the iconography in the manual. You will have a description of all 15 god card powers. You'll have all of your study and farm tiles. You will have every one of the missions, and they all have numbers on the tile that will help you determine, where this is. You don't have to read every one of these because a lot of them do look similar, but you'll see down here at the very bottom, there's a little number that will help guide you to the right spot in the addendum. And I believe that is all the rules.
It's kind of a big game, huh?
It is a big game. It takes up a lot of space. When I played, I did fill up my headdress. I did not get my circlet. I missed my first round mission. Knowing I could not complete all 9, I still did the next 8 because that's 48 points.
That's big points. I think I only managed to do 3.
Yeah, and the differences in scores
in my game. It was a rough score for me.
It was 120 to 150 to 180 ish.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you were 30 behind me. I was 30 behind James. But had I not focused, that was a third of my points. Had I not done the missions, if I just given up on those, I would have missed out on a third of my points. I did get one good purchased each round for 6 goods for bonus points. I didn't. I was trying to focus on my Kipu tiles and getting those orange and blue tiles on my board. I was doing a really good job of pushing them up and moving them down,
So it's
getting
really good
food.
to remain in first. I found it hard to get first player, meaning I was always going last because
Right.
you and James were doing so well. So I think it is a situation where you really need to try and get first player to get the things you want.
Because if you're not first player and you roll that, you're in trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
um, if you roll all ones, though, that limits you the other direction. You can't go on the road you want. You can't take the tile you want. You can't go on the temple step you want. Maybe you can't do the circlet piece you want. So all ones can hurt you just as bad as all sixes.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of give and take on there. There are
Yeah.
god tiles that let you move people's god cards that let you move people's dice off. There are god cards that will let you take an extra action as if you had placed a die somewhere. There are god cards that let you place a die regardless of what your die value is. You're going to need to use those god cards to your advantage to get
Yeah.
the biggest possible dice mitigation, because these dice will make you sink or swim.
Oh, for sure. But yeah. Hopefully you guys like it. If you like Bora Bora, you'll probably definitely like this one. I don't see why you wouldn't.
It seems to have what Bora Bora had, plus more with the addition of those god powers. Because remember, you're turning Bora Bora had 5 god powers. This gives you 15. So it probably will mitigate those bad luck decisions and make Bora Bora feel a little better. However, I got to say, there is quite a bit of take that. If I don't want Steph to move, I will drop a 1 die on a spot, even if that means that I am not going to get to move where I want to go, because that might keep her out. And so I can understand if people get frustrated because of that cutthroat gameplay. Some people love it, some people hate it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
um, yeah, there was something else I was going to mention, but I cannot think of it off the top of my head. Um, I do think that there's a lot going on. You want to try to get everything done, but you ultimately can't do everything, and that falls right in line with, well, one of my rules of game design: never give players everything they want. But you also, another rule, don't want to make it so they can't get anything they want. And there's a fine line to be walked there.
Yeah, and you completed how many of the back goals? You did.
How
You did the headdress with feathers for bonus
Oh, you mean
points.
the end game goals?
Yeah, like the bonus
I
points.
only did the headdress with feathers and the shop powers. I did not get all the circlet pieces. I did not get all 10 of my Kipu
That's the
tiles.
one I got.
I did not get all 9 goals, and I did not get 12 of the study and farming tiles. I only got these 2 right here. And I think I would probably do a lot better my second game.
Probably.
So
Yeah.
now that I understand it a little bit
The
better,
focus in a little bit, yeah, for sure.
yeah. So that is Cusco, number 6 in the city collection, Steffenfeld City Collection from Queen Games. Be sure to check it out if you like Euro games.
Yeah.
Yep. And if you enjoyed this teach and playthrough and you want to see more just like it, come join us on YouTube. Just search for Board Gamer Steph. Or even better, you can join us live on twitch.tv/BoardGamerSteph, where we stream live every Wednesday and Sunday night at 5 p.m. Central, and we stream 3 games or more every single stream. So come join us on Twitch, where we play all the games.
And for those on Twitch, we'll be right back.